The storm hit Seoul at midnight like something personal. Rain lashed the hospital windows in long, angry sheets. The corridors were nearly empty, just the hum of monitors and the soft squeak of a mop on tile. Alana Brooks was the night nurse on duty. 29. Calm the way deep water is calm. She had worked the midnight shift for 3 years because the silence suited her and the pay was better. She was updating charts at the nurse's station when the main doors exploded open. The rain came in first. Then the men, large, suited, scanning every corner with trained eyes. 4 of them. And behind them, a tall Korean man in a soaked black coat moved with the focused urgency of someone who did not ask for things. He simply made them happen. He laid what he was carrying onto the nearest bed. It was a child, a little girl, no older than 7. Her white dress was soaked dark red. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow and too fast. Alana was already moving. She pulled on gloves. She checked the airway. She called for the trauma cart without raising her voice. She looked at the girl, not the man. "Put her on the bed," she said, "and get out of my way." The man didn't move immediately. In Alana's experience, people in emergency rooms either froze completely or fell over themselves trying to help. This man did neither. He stood and watched her with dark, unreadable eyes, as if making a decision only he could see. Alana didn't wait. She had already clipped a pulse oximeter onto the girl's finger and was checking her airway carefully. Then he reached inside his coat and placed something on the counter. A card, black, edged in platinum. The kind without a credit limit because it didn't need one. "Skip the paperwork," he said quietly. "Just save her." Alana picked up the card without looking at it. She held it out toward him until he took it back. "Protocol saves lives," she said. "Not money." Behind him, his 4 men went very still. She felt the shift, the way they all recalibrated simultaneously, like a machine changing gear. She noted it the way she noted a blood pressure reading. Understood it, then moved on. She called for the trauma cart. The man leaned forward slightly. His voice dropped to something quieter and more deliberate, each word placed with the precision of someone who is rarely required to repeat himself. "Do you know who you're refusing?" Alana finished securing the oxygen mask over the girl's face before she answered. She turned and met his eyes directly. They were cold. Not angry, just cold, the way something gets when it has been cold for so long it forgets how to be anything else. "No," she said, "and it doesn't matter." Something moved across his face. Quick, almost invisible. Not anger. Surprise. As if a door had opened in a room he believed was sealed. His name was Jang Tae-min. She didn't know that yet, but the city knew it. Hospital administrators knew it. Police commissioners knew it. His name was said carefully, in quiet rooms, by people who understood what careful meant. He was the most feared criminal strategist in Seoul. He had built his empire not on raw violence alone, but on cold, precise calculation. He knew the pressure points of every institution and every person. He had never once been denied anything he put his name to, and now he was standing in a fluorescent-lit trauma room while a young black woman in scrubs had returned his card and turned her back to him. For the first time in years, Jang Tae-min was invisible. He stepped back. He waited. Then the monitor let out a single flat, unbroken tone. The sound cut through everything. Alana called the code before the tone had fully registered in anyone else's mind. Her voice was sharp and clear, pulling the night team from wherever they were. Defibrillator. Now, the room became a controlled storm. Nurses ran. Equipment rolled. Compression started. Alana called the rhythm, directed every move, her hands and mind completely locked onto the small body on the bed. Taemin's men stepped forward instinctively. Her voice stopped them without her even turning. "Nobody touches her except my team. Back up." They stopped. They stopped because there was something in her voice that was not asking and was not afraid. Taemin didn't move. He stood against the wall, arms at his sides. He was the most powerful man in every room he had ever entered. Right now, he was entirely powerless. He could not buy this moment. He could not threaten it or calculate his way out of it. He had to wait. The epinephrine went in. Alana counted aloud. Pressed. The defibrillator charged. Then a gasp. Small, ragged, desperate, but real. The girl's chest rose. Her fingers twitched. The monitor found a rhythm and held it, unsteady at first, then steadier, then real. The room exhaled. Alana kept working. She didn't celebrate. She just kept working. An hour later, the girl was stable. Not safe, stable. There was a difference Alana understood very well, and she had explained it plainly to the man in language that left no room for confusion. He had listened without interrupting. That was the second surprising thing about him. They were standing in the corridor outside the trauma room. His men were near the entrance, and to everyone's visible shock, they had stayed there. She needs surgery, Alana said. Internal bleeding not fully assessed. She needs the best pediatric surgeon in this building, and she needs it within the next few hours. Taemin nodded once. Arrange it. Already done. Silence. Then he said something she hadn't expected. She is the daughter of a man who betrayed me. Alana looked at him. I had 3 days to decide what to do, he said, his voice even. I brought her here instead. She didn't respond. She was trying to understand what she was hearing. She has nothing to do with what her father did, he said. His jaw tightened. She doesn't deserve her father's sins. Alana held that sentence for a long moment. The storm was still going outside. The monitor beeped steadily behind the glass. She turned and walked back toward the nurse's station. She had work to do. By 2 in the morning, the hospital administrator had arrived. Dr. Seo appeared in the corridor in his coat, still half on, blinking rapidly at the sight of Jang Taemin standing calmly beside the vending machine. He recovered fast. He was a practical man. Within 5 minutes, Dr. Seo had produced a donation large enough to rebuild the entire emergency wing. New equipment, new beds, a named facility. He spoke quickly, his voice carrying the careful enthusiasm of someone solving a problem. Taemin said nothing. He looked at Alana, standing nearby writing notes in a chart. She didn't look up. Healthcare isn't a loyalty program, she said simply. Dr. Seo turned toward her. His mouth opened. She met his eyes, and he closed it. Taemin studied her for a long moment. He had offered money to mayors, judges, generals. He had watched grown men argue over his donations before he finished writing the number. He had never once seen anyone walk away from one. She didn't walk away dramatically. She went back to her chart, as if the conversation were already over. He smiled, slow and careful, not entirely comfortable on his face. The smile of a man encountering something he had no name for. Taemin returned to his penthouse before dawn. The city was dark below, all wet light and silver streets. He stood at the window for a long time. Then he turned to his most trusted aide, Ryan, 11 years beside him. Find everything, he said. Ryan nodded. He never asked questions. By 7 in the morning, the report was on the desk. Alana Brooks, 29, originally from Atlanta, had come to Seoul on a medical exchange 4 years ago and stayed. Single mother to a 6-year-old boy named Eli. Carrying significant debt, student loans, credit from a period 2 years ago when she'd taken unpaid leave. Her mother lived in Accra, managing a chronic illness. Alana sent money home every month. 2 jobs. The midnight shift here. A Saturday morning clinic in a lower-income district across the city. Taemin set the report down. He turned back to the window. He said the words he always said when he found the information he needed. The words that had unlocked every person, every door he had ever needed opened. Everyone has a price. He said it, but standing in the gray, Seoul morning, staring at the city below, he was not entirely certain he believed it. 3 days later, Alana opened her locker before her shift and found an envelope. No name, no seal, plain white. She opened it carefully, expecting something administrative. It was not administrative. 300,000 American dollars in crisp banded currency. Not a single word. She stared at it for one moment. Then she closed it, walked to the security desk, and placed it on the counter. I need this logged and reported, she said. I don't know where it came from. I'm not keeping it. The guard looked at the envelope, then at her. Do you know how much? Yes, she said. Log it. She went her shift. Across the city, in a room without windows, Taemin sat watching hospital security footage on a screen. He watched her open the locker. He watched her look inside. He watched her close it, turn, and walk away without pausing. He watched it 3 times. He had tested hundreds of people with money. Some held out a day. One man lasted 4 days, a record. She had lasted less than 3 minutes. Not because she nearly kept it, because it had never been a question. He sat back. For the first time in a long time, he genuinely didn't know what to do next. He came back to the hospital 9 days later. No guards, no black SUV, a regular car parked on the street. He wore a dark gray coat and walked through the main entrance at 11 at night like any other visitor. Alana saw him before he reached the desk. She recognized the way he moved, that quality of absolute stillness surrounding him even in motion, as if the air around him had learned not to disturb him. She finished what she was doing first. Then she looked up. He stopped at the desk. He looked at her for a moment. Then he said, "The money was returned." "Yes," she said. "I need to understand why." She considered him. Then she said, "Already know why. Tell me anyway." She set down her pen. "Because I want to fix my own life," she said. "Because my son is watching how I do it. And because I don't want to owe anything to anyone whose methods I can't trust." He said nothing. He seemed to actually be listening, which was not always the same as being quiet. She opened her mouth to say something more. Then 3 sharp sounds came from outside. Fast, specific, unmistakable. Gunshots. The glass door at the end of the corridor shattered inward. Patients in the waiting area screamed. A man dropped to the floor. The lights flickered once and held. Tae-min turned toward the door. All careful stillness replaced by a focused, coiled readiness that made him look like an entirely different person. "Get behind the desk," he said to Alana. She didn't. There were patients in the ward. An elderly man on oxygen who could not move quickly. A post-operative woman in room 4. 2 children in the pediatric bay at the end of the hall. Alana picked up a radio and started directing staff. Her voice was controlled and specific. 2 nurses to the pediatric bay. Security called. The medication room locked. She was moving toward her patients, not away. Tae-min watched her for 1 second. Then he followed. What came next lasted 11 minutes. Later, Alana would remember it in fragments only. Boots on tile, a nurse crying in a supply room, smoke somewhere above them, a window breaking. And Tae-min's back, broad, solid, positioned between her and the corridor while she worked over a patient who had fainted in the chaos. She didn't ask him to do it. He just did it. He became her wall.
That's the end of part 1. Like, comment your thoughts, and share for part 2.